What a wonderful morning. We are ready to frame some walls, finally. The floor is done. All my top and bottom plates are cut and put together. So we're ready to actually start framing some walls and stand them up. I'm going to show you the very first wall. We're going to do a little time lapse and see how we do. See me struggle a little bit. It's because I accidentally pulled the wrong layout. So when you pull layout, you always want to make sure you're coming from the exact same spot on your top and your bottom plate. Otherwise, everything will be crooked and really messed up. And somehow I got off on this header for my layout. And also, I forgot to have some strips of nails with me, which no big deal, but still had to get up and go get some and make it right. So have all the stuff you need when you're going and make sure you pull the right layout. All right, I've aligned my wall, the bottom plate, that little red line, snap to chalk line. I've got it even on the end of the wall here. Put a couple of stop blocks along the way so that it can't slide off the wall. I even put a couple of toenails, one there and one there. And that's just to keep everything from sliding around while I'm lifting it. Being a one-man band here, I chose not to sheet it first and do all those precautionary things because, like I said, I'm a one-man band. So I just don't want anything to go wrong. Don't want anything sliding around, acting a fool. We'll see how this one goes. I'd say that went quite well. Wall's up, everything's straight. I'll wait to really brace it off until I get some of these other walls stood up. But for now, it's attached to those stop plates and I don't think it's going anywhere. We used timber screws, which have a pull-out strength of a lot. I don't know what it is exactly, but that wall's not going anywhere anytime soon. The real help has arrived.
Yeah, right.
She's been working at this for a couple days. That dark gray was meant to be top to bottom, but we didn't buy enough, so we went ahead and got some dry lock to do below grade. We've got to do how many coats? Two. Sounds like she doesn't really want to do two, but we have to do two.
Gotta waterproof it, man.
Sorry, honey.
It's all good.
All right, what we decided to do for the carport slash screened in porch slash now we are turning it into a sunroom. So we're going to enclose it in, which means we have to throw in some more J-bolts. and frame the floor. So in order to do that, I got to mix some concrete, got to fill some of the cavities and throw those J-bolts in so I can put my mud seal down. So here we go. All right, so what we did is mixed up our concrete, kind of a pancake batter, maybe a little bit thicker consistency, just so that it's runny enough to actually get it in the cavity. So what I'm gonna do is fill up a cavity, and I'm not filling up the entire length of the wall. I put kind of a stop block about 1.5 blocks down, and then you just fill it with concrete and shove your J-bolt in. All right, we're gonna give that concrete a day or two to set up before we start putting a mud seal on and framing that floor. Until then, we'll get back to framing some walls. Once I start getting some of my walls up and attached to the floor, so the bottom plate is attached to the subfloor and some framing below, and then my top plates are secured together, I like to go through and start cutting some of my doorways out because the bottom plate is still attached, and I just go through with my oscillator and cut them out. That way they're not tripping hazards. It makes it easier to sweep, or I like to use a blower. I use the Ego blower, the 650 CFM. It's a great blower. So yeah, I go through and start cutting through with the oscillator. There's a lot of framers that when they go to put their layout for their doorways, they put what's called a relief cut. And all that means is that they take their skill saw and on the bottom edge of their bottom plate, they go ahead at the doorway and set the depth of their blade to 3/4 of an inch. That way it kind of keeps them up off the ground so that later on, if they don't have an oscillator, they can use a sawzall or like a hand saw to get the rest of the way through. That way they're not marring up the floor or cutting through the floor. The oscillator makes it a heck of a lot easier. Good morning. So this is what I've got going here as far as my interior framing. I've got a couple walls that do a 45-degree turn instead of a 90. So on the floor, on my top and bottom plate, that's what I've got going. I'll show you up here on the table. It's gonna look something like that. So the dilemma is, how do I stud that and still stand walls up? So what I figure I'll do is I'll take the short point and run my stud like so. And again, this one, I'll run it like this. And then once I stand my walls up, I could take another stud just to help catch some more of the drywall. Or I can rip this at a 22 or at a 45 and flat stud it in here to attach at this point at the angle. I don't know what I decided, but I'll show you when I do. What did I decide to do for my 45-degree walls? Yes, I said walls. There's two of them. Got one in the pantry and one for a bedroom. So what I've decided to do, rather than try to rip a 2x4 down because it just wasn't working very well, there just wasn't enough power, I decided to go ahead and run them flat and allow the sheetrock to cantilever, and the drywallers use something called a corner bead, which should give the corner enough strength when it's all taped and mudded and all done. So here is what I've done here. I've got my outside corner. I've got two of them, two studs. I've got three here because I've got a jack stud for the door header, and I threw an extra one. So this is where the drywall will have to cantilever to meet the other drywall coming through here, and then that corner bead will go there. On the other side, they won't have to cantilever anything. It should all come in together quite well. Make it real easy on them. So, if there's a better way to do it, leave a comment. Show me what to do. Direct me to another video. Something. What'd you say, Ollie?
I'm strong.
You're strong?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Building some garbage.
You're doing what?
Building some garbage.
You're building the garbage or you're stacking the garbage?
Yeah, we're stacking the garbage.
Well, that makes sense. You making it organized, Ollie?
Well, she's giving it to me so I can build. No, I'm not. What? Put that down there.
You guys are doing good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, get that on recording. That's going in the video.
All right. Now, since we've decided to turn this garage or carport into a sunroom, we need to cut in some crawl space access because it was just going to be filled in with gravel and concrete, and there was going to be no need for access. Now that it's going to be a sunroom with air-conditioned space, we need man access, and we need access for ventilation for the AC unit. So I've kind of marked out where I want to cut my block. Now I want one block down to start. That way, if there's any J-bolts in here, it's not affecting anything down here. Now, I don't have a lintel. I didn't plan for having a lintel, so what I'm gonna have to do is cut me some 2x8 treated lumber and create a header and frame it in as though it's just like another doorway to carry the weight. So, got my grinder, my angle grinder, got a really good pair of safety glasses, and I'm gonna get some ears on so that everything is protected. You don't want to do any of this without any protection.
I am measuring blocking so that for things like mirrors and towel bars and TV mounts and things like that, you don't have to use mollies or find a stud, because oftentimes where you want to put something is not where a stud would be. And so I am marking where we're going to put 2x12 scrap pieces, and we're going to put blocking there so that we can have a real piece of wood to screw into for fasteners. Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
My God. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. And you want to continue watching us, subscribe to our channel. Leave us a comment. There's lots of things left to do on this house. We will be filming the entire process from start to finish. If you haven't seen the last couple episodes, go ahead and go back, watch them. Give us a thumbs up there too. Enjoy it.